Chapter 1 Young Lady, Need a Substitute Player. Early April, Tokyo at night. In a bedroom filled with a girly style, Shiina Hiyori lay on her side with her eyes closed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. The silky nightdress brushed against her skin, the warm quilt enveloped her body, and cool strands of hair tickled her ear. Feeling the comfort seeping into her soul, the girl slowly opened her beautiful, light purple eyes. Hesitation, unease. I'm starting a new high school tomorrow, just this once. It should be fine, right? Persuading herself thus, Shiina Hiyori, flush with shyness, finally made a decision. Holding her breath, her fingertips brushed over her body, continuing downward. At the same time, inside the girl's body, Symon suppressed the strange sensations coming from her senses, hesitating whether or not to speak up and interrupt. Just a week ago, he had possessed this girl named Shiina Hiyori, sharing her senses. After the initial confusion, Symon quickly realized the fact that he had transmigrated. He cautiously hid himself, acting purely as a bystander, following the girl's senses and analyzing the surrounding environment. So far, he had basically confirmed the girl was in Tokyo. The overall environment was peaceful, and there was no survival crisis. The girl's family was harmonious, she liked to read, and her personality was quiet and gentle. Communication could be attempted. Everything was originally developing in a good direction. He had planned to wait until the girl started school and was in a new environment before trying to communicate. Why had it turned into this? His soul gradually sank into the abyss. Snap, that was Symon's last nerve breaking. Shiina Hiyori, stop it. Eek. Yeah, silence. After a good while, harboring a sliver of hope, Shiina Hiyori quietly poked her head out from under the covers and glanced towards the door. Seeing no one, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. As I thought, it was just my imagination, right? It was not your imagination. A pleasure to meet you. I am Symon, another soul within your body. Such words echoed in her mind, the slightly hoarse male voice revealing a hint of exhaustion. Shiina Hiyori, if you're not willing to communicate, could I trouble you to go wash up first? Hentai. A short while later, as Shiina Hiyori listened to the voice in her mind, she walked out of the bathroom with a deep blush on her face and crawled back into her warm bed. Only then did the first conversation between the two souls officially begin. Have you calmed down? Symon asked in her mind. After a long time calming down, the girl's attitude had clearly softened. You mean, you've existed for a week already? Yes, to prevent you from doing anything. Irrational, I didn't inform you. Shiina Hiyori covered her face with her hands. Then why did you have to, at that specific moment? I share all your senses. Ooh, I'll never be able to get married now. I'm tired too, let's just self-destruct together. The next day, early morning, Shiina Hiyori turned off the incessant alarm clock. After washing up, she stood in front of the full-length mirror as usual, slipping off her nightdress and changing into a red-style school uniform, finishing with a pair of light gray knee-high socks. At the same time, a knock came from the door, and a gentle male voice sounded from outside. Hiyori, breakfast is ready. You still have the entrance exam today, so don't get up too late. I know, Dad. Hiyori responded, her voice soft and light. Not until her father's footsteps faded away did Hiyori stand before the full-length mirror and meticulously brush her long hair. Meanwhile, Symon was also secretly examining the girl in the mirror. Silver blue long hair, light purple eyes, delicate and beautiful features, fair skin with a faint blush underneath, and the innocent, alluring curves of her body. I have to say very beautiful, Symon remarked with a sigh. Is that how you see me, Mr. Ghost? Hearing him say this, a smile appeared in the girl's eyes as she gently rebuked him. You weren't very gentle at all last night. If it weren't for you, I would probably take great care of this body. Are you blaming me, Mr. Ghost? As long as you're aware. After last night's events, the two talked almost all night. They successfully established 3 ground rules, ultimately deciding on a path with Shiina Hiyori in the lead and Symon assisting from the side. During the process, they also tried switching control of the body. The result was that both could control the body as long as the other did not interfere. "Mr. Ghost, you can rest easy for a while. I'll eat breakfast on your behalf." Putting down the long-handled comb, her silver blue hair spilling over her shoulders, Hiyori spoke in a gentle voice. "Are you getting revenge?" "Not at all," the girl said, making an X with her index fingers in front of her. After going downstairs and eating breakfast, Hiyori grabbed her school bag and was driven to the outside of the school by her father. Following the new students onto campus, Hiyori quickly found Class 1C and the seat with her nameplate. Sitting quietly at her desk, she opened a book titled The Seventh Solution. The girl quietly began to introduce her chosen high school to Symon. Tokyo Metropolitan Advanced Nurturing High School, famous for its state-of-the-art facilities and 100 college placement and employment rate. It's a fully enclosed boarding school. All tuition and living expenses are free, and admission is by invitation and recommendation only. Listening to her chatter, Symon quickly understood her implied meaning and teased. "Admission by invitation and recommendation. All expenses paid. It seems you're quite the genius, Hiyori." "Mr. Ghost, if you please, don't use such a frivolous tone. If you just want to be praised, I'm always here. There's no need for such little tricks." "Ara, that statement earns you a lot of points, Mr. Ghost." Leaving that sentence in her mind, Shiina Hiyori finally put down her book and turned to look at the classroom. Like her, most of the students were just staring blankly. Only a few with strong social skills were gathered together chatting, while some other distinctive characters had become social exclusion zones. Among them, the most conspicuous were a red-haired young man lounging in his chair, arms crossed, legs propped up on the desk, collar open, tie askew, the classic delinquent look. A rebellious-looking, sturdy man with a buzz cut and a square face, in the same pose, same open collar, same crooked tie, same delinquent look. A burly black man, sitting perfectly upright, his muscles explosive. He didn't look like someone to be trifled with. Her gaze retracted, and the light in the girl's eyes gradually faded. "Shiina Hiyori, goodbye, my harmonious school life." Symon asked with a laugh, "Young lady, do you need a pinch hitter?" "Help me, Mr. Ghost." Chapter 2, Death Rank Power Leveling. As they spoke, control of the body shifted, and Symon officially came online. Clenching his fist and feeling the extremely frail body, Symon couldn't help but sigh. They called it power leveling, but it was nothing more than swapping one person for another to serve time in prison. Just as he was thinking this, the classroom door was pushed open again, and a male teacher wearing glasses walked up to the podium. Holding a stack of documents, "I am Kazuma Sakagami. I teach mathematics and will be your homeroom teacher for Class C." Kazuma Sakagami scanned the students in the class, ignoring the two delinquents who still had their feet on their desks. He passed down the documents he was holding and, after confirming everyone had received them, spoke calmly. "First, the entrance ceremony will begin in 1 hour. Before that, I imagine you already know some of our school's rules, but I will explain them again now. First, our school operates on a fixed class system. All of you present will spend the next 3 years together. Second, this is a boarding school, and each person has a private dormitory room. For the duration of your enrollment, all students are forbidden from leaving campus and may not contact the outside world without permission. Third, the campus is equipped with numerous facilities, including a movie theater, a cafe, a karaoke bar, convenience stores, and more, allowing you to live a normal life." At this point, Kazuma Sakagami had the students take out a student ID card from their documents and explained the school uses the new S system. All facilities refuse cash. The corresponding currency is the points stored on your student IDs. Everything in this school can be purchased with points. Points are automatically transferred on the first of every month. Their purchasing power is equivalent to the Japanese yen. And 100,000 points have already been deposited into your student IDs. Boom! Upon hearing this, the students instantly erupted into an uproar. Only a few remained unfazed, such as Symon, who had no idea about the purchasing power of the yen. Meanwhile, Kazuma Sakagami on the podium pushed up his glasses. "There is no need to be surprised. Our school operates on the principle of meritocracy. Those of you admitted must surely possess corresponding value. The points correspond to the school's evaluation of you. They will be reclaimed upon graduation. They can be traded or gifted. But they cannot be seized through means such as bullying. Now, are there any questions? Below the podium, the students were all silent. Seeing this, Symon organized the known information and started a conversation with Hiyori Shiina in his mind. I have a feeling this S system is weird. Indeed, it seems the teacher hid something. Hiyori was clearly thinking as well. Telling half the story and hiding the other half is a common trick. That's not the main point, Symon said, unconcerned. This school has built an independent monetary system with no restrictions on its use. It can be traded or even gifted. The points are completely equivalent to money if the teachers also use this system. Thinking of this, Symon raised his hand. After Kazuma Sakagami nodded, he stood up and asked in a uniquely soft, girlish voice, "Sir, do the faculty members also use points?" Kazuma Sakagami nodded in confirmation. Yes, all staff members at this school use points as currency. Symon continued to ask, "What is your personal account number?" Kazuma Sakagami was slightly confused, but he still wrote a string of numbers on the blackboard. Symon took out his personal terminal, transferred 5,000 points to the corresponding account, and said softly, "I'm not feeling well and might have to miss the entrance ceremony later. Could I ask you to make an exception for me?" Ding dong. Seeing the points received on his personal terminal, Kazuma Sakagami smiled and nodded. "I remember you, Hiyori Shiina. Your student file also notes a lack of physical stamina. You may be excused from the entrance ceremony. Considering the points you've gifted, I will change the record to show regular attendance." Whoa. You can do that. Even the teachers take points. Watching the two of them brazenly give and receive a gift, all the students of Class C stared wide-eyed. Symon, however, understood perfectly. If even the teachers used points, then the saying, "money makes the world go round," still held true. The only unexpected thing was that the teacher had exposed the matter of him giving money in front of everyone. But by now, Symon held no hope for this school's conscience. For the safety of the two of them, he decided it was too much trouble to beat around the bush and ask directly, "Sir, where does the school draw the line?" To this question, Kazuma Sakagami didn't answer verbally, but simply looked up toward the ceiling of the classroom. Following his gaze, the students traced his line of sight to the camera on the wall. Some were puzzled, some were confused, some had a sudden realization. And some were ecstatic. Symon couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. As long as there's no hard evidence, it doesn't count as a crime, right? Holding down the hem of his skirt, Symon sat back down and began complaining frantically in his mind, "Hiyori, I want to go home. I want to go home. Can we transfer out of here right now? Mr. Ghost, a real man can't back down, you know. This school is destined to be a chaotic free-for-all. I'd rather switch schools and study properly than waste time playing house with them." Hiyori Shiina, but the school probably won't let the students run wild, right? There must be some restrictions. There are. The points are currency, and the school is the sole issuer. It holds the students' economic lifeline. The school has 10,000 ways to impose restrictions. Except for those who don't want to stay, everyone else will at most dare to dance back and forth on the edge of the line. Mr. Ghost must have been a very free person before. You guessed right, so are we transferring now or not? Daimyo, high school tuition in Tokyo is very expensive. Then let's take it one day at a time. The goal is to become a glorious tuition thief. While the two were chatting idly, the classroom gradually grew livelier. The students chattered away, shocked and excited about what the points could do. In contrast, the homeroom teacher on the podium remained calm, as if he were a mere bystander. Seeing this, the delinquent boy with red, shoulder-length hair sneered and stood up. Ignoring Kazuma Sakagami, he walked directly to the podium. Bam! He kicked the side of the podium hard, and the loud noise startled almost everyone. Ryuen scanned the students below and introduced himself in an extremely domineering and punchable tone. "I'm Ryuen. Kakeru Ryuen. From now on, I will rule this class. Hey, 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 who the hell are you? Why should we listen to you? Don't fight, classmates. Bam! His fist slammed onto the podium again. Ignoring that bit of gibberish, Ryuen sneered, "You scum, after what just happened, don't you get it this meritocratic school will eat you alive?" At this point, Ryuen glanced at the few troublemakers in the class who were still staring at him. A delinquent girl, a boy with a buzz cut, a large black man, and a blue-haired lowly. "After the entrance ceremony, I'll be waiting for you on the roof of the school building. If any of you want to stop me, then come." Having said that, Ryuen stepped down from the podium, walked over to Hiyori Shiina's desk, shoved aside the short, blue-haired kid who had stood up to block him, and rapped his knuckles on Hiyori Shiina's desk. Chapter 3, he offered it willingly. "Hey, look at me." At Hiyori Shiina's desk, Ryuen knocked on the table, pulling the spacing out Symon's attention back to reality. For once, his tone was calm. Although still arrogant, he wasn't using his usual provocative manner. Noticing Ryuen's attitude, the blue-haired shorty Mio Ibuki, the burly black guy Albert, the buzz-cut delinquent Daichai Ishizaki, and the homeroom teacher, Kazuma Sakigami, all of whom were about to stop him from causing trouble, held back for the moment, ready to hear what he had to say. As for the remaining students, they either wanted to help but lacked the courage, were indifferent, or were gleefully watching the show after all. Who asked Hiyori Shiina to stand out in front of the teacher just now? "Ryuen-kun, is there something you need?" Even while chatting with Hiyori, Symon was keeping an eye on the classroom situation. "You're one of the few smart people in this class of idiots. Interested in joining my crew after I take over this class?" Ryuen extended the invitation. Symon shook his head and refused. "Nope. I plan to transfer out once I run out of points." It came from the classmates. It came from the homeroom teacher. "Hey, you want points, is that it?" Ryuen sneered, took out his terminal, searched for Hiyori Shiina in the S system, transferred all 100,000 points from his account, and then showed the transaction record. Ding dong. Hearing the crisp notification of the deposit, Symon gave Ryuen a slightly surprised look. Meanwhile, Hiyori was muttering in his mind, "Mr. Ghost, is this really okay? He gave it to me willingly, you can't blame me for this. But you were the one who hinted that you wanted points." "Haha, Hiyori, you're so sharp." Leaving that thought in his mind and ignoring the stares, Symon closed his book and said softly, "I don't like doing things I don't want to do. But I can offer you some words. If you don't want to listen, I can give the points back." Ryuen sat down in Mio Ibuki's seat, pushed away the fuming shorty who was about to confront him, crossed his legs, and waved a hand dismissively. "Consider these 100,000 points a gift. Go on, speak." "Whoa. 100,000. Isn't that everything he has?" Gasps rippled through the room. Ryuen shot everyone a cold glare, and the students quickly fell silent as expected, with only a few like Daichai Ishizaki letting out a. Symon paid no mind to the interruption and began. "In this school, the S system serves as the basic monetary system, simulating real society. If you look past the surface to its essence and think of the school as a country, you'll discover this. The school controls the points, meaning it holds the financial power. The school controls student registration, meaning it holds the channels for advancement. Military, decision-making, legislative, judicial, regulatory, and diplomatic functions are not yet clear. You could try to join the student council. The school might delegate some authority in these areas. It's fine if you can't get in the school, won't let students run completely wild. Certain under-the-table rules are tacitly permitted by the school. By the same token, the school must also have a set of overt laws that restrict student behavior in various ways. You can try to figure them out." Ryuen nodded and interjected, "I've already thought about that." The homeroom teacher hinted at these rules with words like evaluation and value, which are also tied to points. Symon didn't comment on this, continuing in his soft voice. "The teacher once said that in this school, ability is everything. Some might misinterpret that as points being everything. However, in my view, the only one with true power in this school has always been, and will always be, the school itself. Faced with the school as an insurmountable hidden power, students have no chance to resist. But this situation of a rigid class structure is indeed a true reflection of modern Japan. This social simulation seems quite perfect. Symon delivered this dry joke gently before giving his advice, but back to the point. In a situation like this, anyone who gets too out of control can easily become the catfish a fisherman pulls from his bucket. I suggest you tread carefully. Also, if your family is short on money, a currency with real purchasing power like points will inevitably have a way to be cashed out. It's possible someone is secretly buying them. You could try to find that channel. Finally, settling internal affairs before dealing with external threats is a foolish approach. The best way to unite a group of people is to find a common enemy. Or to set up a target yourself. With that said, seeing Ryuen still frowning in thought, Symon put the novel he was holding back into his bag, held down his skirt, and left the classroom. The money was secured, the words were spoken, the person was bluffed. What better time to leave than now? Watching the girl leave, the students of Class C looked at one another before all bowing their heads in silence. Even the homeroom teacher pushed up his glasses awkwardly, feeling an inferiority complex, as if he'd been crushed in both intelligence and perspective. Hey, was there anything she said that was wrong, or anything you can add? Snapping out of it, Ryuen bluntly questioned the homeroom teacher. Aside from the personal advice for you, which I can't comment on, the rest was not incorrect. Kazuma Sakigami pushed up his glasses. As for anything I could add, I refused to answer. Got it. With that, Ryuen returned to the lectern and scanned the crowd. Now, anyone who thinks they have what it takes to join the student council. Stand up. From the floor, a boy with thick-lensed glasses stood up and introduced himself. I'm Satoru Kanda. As for joining the student council, I'll try when I get the chance. Ryuen motioned for him to sit down, then looked toward the troublemakers he had previously arranged to meet on the rooftop Mio Ibuki. Albert and Daichaya Shizaki. Before class tomorrow, I'll dig up the truth about this school and the channel for cashing out points. Until then, I'll be waiting for you on the rooftop for 15 minutes after the entrance ceremony. After saying his piece, Ryuen walked out of the classroom. What's with that guy? A girl with short, light green hair said this angrily. However, no one in the classroom echoed her sentiment. The silent atmosphere was uncomfortable, and many people were now looking at her with strange expressions. Clearly, the transaction worth 100,000 points between Hiyori Shiina and Ryuen had shaken many in the class. People are easily swayed. After Hiyori Shiina delivered that sensational speech, almost everyone was lost, unsure of what to do. At times like these, people instinctively look for a leader, for someone to make decisions for them, even if that person is Ryuen, and even if he's simply barking orders. The entrance ceremony starts in 10 minutes. You can head over early. Noticing the situation in Class C, Kazuma Sakigami said this and also left the classroom with a slight smile. He was now going back to write a leave of absence for Hiyori Shiina and later open a bottle of champagne to celebrate. What a wonderful start. Meanwhile, on the way to the school building, Hiyori Shiina and the slacking Symon were whispering to each other in their minds, Mr. Ghost. Does all that thinking and deduction tire you out? There was no deduction. My words might have sounded profound, but they were actually nonsense. Comparing the school to a country. Even I think it's cringy. Let's just say that's the case. So, Mr. Ghost, why are you unwilling to walk? Can I not say? Dame yo. Fine, the feeling of walking in a skirt is just too bizarre. My sense of decency is plummeting. You take over. Whoa, no wonder you kept holding down the skirt, Mr. Ghost. Chapter 4. She's only 15, you're no match for her. Chatting idly with Symon, Hiyori Shiina soon arrived at the base of the dormitory building. From the outside, the dormitory was a high-rise apartment building with a dozen or so rooms on each floor. When checking in, the female dorm supervisor glanced at Hiyori with some surprise, seemingly finding her arrival at this time unexpected. But she didn't make any unnecessary comments. After showing her student ID, the supervisor performed some operations on the computer, took out a blank card, inserted it into the card reader, wrote data to it, and then handed over the room keycard and a small booklet. Your room number is 1201. This is your keycard and the rules handbook. If you lose or damage your keycard, you can get a spare from me. The girl took them, turned, and got on the elevator, flipping through the rules handbook inside. The handbook stipulated the days and times for taking out the trash, as well as some prohibited actions, such as making noise and wasting water. Electricity and gas. It also forbade male students from going to the upper floors where the female students resided, but placed no such restrictions on the girls. Finally, there was a special note: relationships inappropriate for high school students are prohibited. Without making any judgment on the handbook's contents, Hiyori Shiina closed the booklet when the elevator doors opened, swiped her card, and walked into her dorm room. The dorm room was a small hotel-style studio. It wasn't large, mainly consisting of a windowsill, a bathroom, and a bed, with a small desk and chair placed beside the bed. The provided items included bedding, furniture, and appliances. Aside from missing daily necessities like shampoo, it had practically everything one could need. Putting down her school bag, the girl took a look around the room, making a note of things to buy, and at the same time asked, "Mr. Ghost, is there anything you want? Impressive that you can still think of me at a time like this." Symon looked at the conditioner, skin lotion, facial cleanser, and other items she was writing in her memo. "I have no concept of the daily necessities girls need. You can just decide." "I see, Mr. Ghost has definitely never had a girlfriend." "You guessed right." Symon couldn't help but retort, "Also, I think you might be a little too perceptive. I haven't even thought about it that much myself." Mr. Ghost, making unsolicited judgments about a girl will lose you points, you know. In any case, the two, a single body with two souls, chatted like this as they went downstairs and headed to the shopping district, preparing to welcome their future school life. The next morning, Hiyori Shiina walked into the classroom just as the bell was about to ring. As soon as she sat down, the girl went limp on her desk, as if her soul had left her body. The cause of this was that after they finished shopping, Hiyori, considering Symon might get bored, bought him a Switch gaming console. As for the result, "Mr. Ghost, if you stay up all night playing games again, I'm going to take your console away." "Sorry, I know I was wrong." Symon decisively admitted defeat. "I'm not blaming you," Hiyori said gently in her mind. "Since you don't need to sleep, Mr. Ghost, do you get lonely at night?" "Not at all." "So that means you do." Symon fell silent. What do I do? She's only 15. I'm no match for her. He had discovered one thing for sure, at least when it came to understanding people's hearts. Hiyori Shiina could run circles around him, with absolutely no chance of victory in sight. Just as he was thinking about how to argue his way out of it, the classroom door was pushed open again. The girl looked towards the sound and saw Ryuen and Ishizaki entering the classroom, one after the other. As soon as he entered, Ryuen went straight to the teacher's podium, raised his eyes and scanned the students below. After confirming everyone was present, he took out his phone to check the time. At the same time, the class bell rang, and the homeroom teacher, Kazuma Sakigami, walked into the classroom right on schedule. Seeing the scene, he calmly chose to stand aside and observe. "Before I finish what I have to say today, I expect everyone here not to interrupt me." With his opening sentence, Ryuen set the tone for the class. He then picked up a whiteboard marker and wrote on the board, "One only Class A can graduate from this school and receive everything the school promises. The rest will be transferred out before graduation. 2. The school divides students into classes based on their abilities, in the order of a B, C, D. 3. The school treats each class as a whole, measures student ability by class points, and distributes private points monthly at a ratio of 1100. 4. The school is currently conducting a month-long behavioral assessment exam for the first years. All classes start with 1,000 points, and points are deducted for actions like tardiness and absence. 5. When the class point rankings change, the rankings of classes A, B, C, and D will also change. 6. The school will organize special exams where large amounts of class points can be earned, but which may also result in expulsions. 7. 20 million private points can be used to nullify an expulsion or to transfer classes. 8 second-year Fuka Kuryuin is currently buying private points at 11 ratio. Taking nearly 10 minutes, Ryuen wrote out all this information he had found from who knows where. Finally, he casually tossed the whiteboard marker onto the podium and looked at Kazuma Sakagami, who was standing to the side. "Is there anything wrong with what I've writ?" Kazuma Sakagami pushed up his glasses and shook his head, calmly saying, "There are no mistakes. You are even more exceptional than I had anticipated." Whoosh! Upon receiving confirmation from their homeroom teacher, the students instantly erupted in an uproar. "How can that be? This isn't what they promised. Liars, they're all liars, this school is a fraud." Bang! A loud sound came from the podium. Ryuen slammed his fist on the whiteboard, looking down coldly at the crowd. "I don't recall giving you permission to speak." His single sentence intimidated the students into silence. Ryuen then loudly made his final declaration. "From now on, I will be the ruler of Class C. Everyone must obey my commands. In return, I will lead you to graduate as Class A. I have said my piece. Who approves and who objects?" Chapter 5, a discussion on Manabu Horikita's coded language. What happened in Class C didn't escape the eyes of Symon and Hiyori, but since neither of them had a reason to get involved, they naturally started chatting secretly. "Hiyori, what did Ryuen mean by everything the school promised?" Hiyori Shiina rested on her desk, tilting her head in some confusion. "Haven't I told you about this, Mr. Ghost?" Symon was utterly confused. "You have." After thinking for a moment, Hiyori Shiina realized she indeed hadn't mentioned it, and explained, "The Advanced Nurturing High School's public promotion is that as long as you graduate from this school, you can choose any prestigious university or top-tier company. The school provides its students with a perfect starting point." That's a pretty big promise, isn't it? Yes, it is. The ANHS is backed by the government, and in the decade plus since its founding, it has indeed produced many outstanding graduates who are now widely spread across various industries. This promise isn't just empty words. I see, that's a bit of a shame then. Symon offered his evaluation. "I have to say, the school's founding principle of having students compete and grow in a simulated society is very interesting. But at your age, your worldviews haven't fully formed yet. One wrong step and it could turn into a viper's nest. Mr. Ghost, your perspective on things is truly strange. It gives off the feeling that you're a complete outsider. Just like the nickname you gave me. After all, I'm just a ghost. Maybe one day you'll wake up and find that I'm gone." Hiyori Shiina didn't respond to that. "Why the silence?" Symon asked tentatively. "If that day really comes, we should at least have a proper goodbye." "Oh, so that's what you were thinking about." Meanwhile, in the Class C classroom, having proven his strength, and after issuing a series of warnings, Kakeru Ryuen successfully established his leadership position in Class C. Even if some were unconvinced, believed they could do the same, or were simply rebellious, no one chose to step forward at this moment. Logically, this would be the time for Ryuen to establish Class C's rules or lay out a future strategy. However, he had never been one to play by the book. Compared to such boring matters, he clearly had something more important to attend to. For instance, securing his hand-picked strategist. Striding over to Ibuki's desk and forcing the blue-haired girl to give up her seat again, Ryuen looked at the sleepy-eyed Hiyori Shiina and asked, "Aren't you curious how I did it?" Hiyori Shiina looked up, her gaze calm as she gave her answer. "Going by your style, Ryuen, you probably used violence on an upperclassman. When you have a clear objective, there are many ways to uncover a secret. Violent interrogation of someone in the know is the simplest of them." Clap, clap, clap. Was that a woman's intuition this time? Ryuen clapped his hands. "But it seems you're not in a very good mood right now. Is there anything I can help you with?" "It has nothing to do with you, Ryuen. I'll handle it myself." Her silver blue hair swayed gently as Hiyori Shiina shook her head. She couldn't very well have Ryuen beat up Symon, could she? Receiving such a reply, Ryuen nodded and didn't press the matter further. He had wanted to ask Hiyori Shiina for her opinion on the school, but trying to discuss serious business when the girl was being somewhat emotional seemed foolish. Don't let me find out which bastard ruined my plans. Ryuen's cold gaze swept across the students in the classroom as he returned to his seat. Seeing the tyrant and the strategist of Class C conclude their conversation peacefully, Kazuma Sakagami pushed up his glasses, calmly stepped onto the podium, and began to explain the academic policies for the semester. After speaking for about 10 minutes, Kazuma Sakagami had the students come up to the podium one by one to introduce themselves. Although it was rather pointless, Hiyori also went up and introduced herself in a gentle, soft voice. I'm Hiyori Shiina. My hobby is reading. And I hope to live a peaceful school life. Well, that was from the boys. She really is pretty. Many classmates started making a commotion. Unsurprisingly, the belle of Class C was born under everyone's gaze. However, in Symon's opinion, not a single girl in this class was ugly, yet most of the boys looked rather strange, which was just absurd. During breaks, the Class C students wanted to strike up a conversation, but because Hiyori Shiina was too sleepy and would rest her head on the desk as soon as the teacher left, no one wanted to disturb her. And so, time flew by until after school in the afternoon. An announcement on the school broadcast had informed them that a club information session would be held in the first gymnasium after school. So after dinner, Hiyori made her way there. She was a bit late when she arrived. Nearly 100 students were there, mostly first years, and on the stage, the student council president was giving a speech. I am the student council president, Manabu Horikita. The student council will also be recruiting candidates at this recruitment fair. Those interested in running for a position on the student council, please refrain from joining other clubs. At this point, the black-haired, bespectacled young man on stage paused, then delivered the next part of his speech in a clear voice. Furthermore, we in the student council have no desire for candidates who run with naive ideas. Such people would not only fail to be elected, but would surely bring disgrace upon the school. Our school's student council is highly regarded precisely because it has been entrusted by the school administration with the authority and mission to change the rules. We only welcome those who understand this. After speaking, the student council president turned and walked straight off the stage, leaving behind a group of freshmen who looked at each other in dismay. Feeling insulted. In the audience, Hiyori Shiina's delicate brows furrowed slightly as she said softly, as the student council president, giving a speech like that in public seems rather inappropriate. I feel like there was a hidden meaning in his words. Compared to proper official jargon, what he said was indeed a bit too blunt. Let me translate it for you, Symon said with a playful smile. Good kids, run away, there's a moron in the student council. Right now the student council's power and the difficulties it's facing are both immense. Someone capable, please come help me, and I'll let you be the next student council president. If you can't even understand this message, then don't bother me. A look of confusion appeared on the girl's face. Is that really what he meant? Symon, it's true. That's exactly what he meant. I barely even had to rephrase it. Chapter 6, The Advance. The student council president's speech caused a small stir, but it was ultimately harmless. Other than Hiyori and Symon, who noticed a girl with long, straight black hair leaving the venue, the rest of the freshmen quickly forgot about it. The briefing that followed continued in an orderly fashion, hosted by the student council secretary, Takebana Senpai. Although Hiyori Shiina had noticed, her dislike for conflict meant she didn't dwell on it. As planned, she picked up a small booklet at the gymnasium entrance, flipped through the club manual, and listened to the upperclassmen on stage explain their respective clubs. The judo club, kendo club, chess club, book club. As the club representatives made their appearances one by one, Hiyori, amidst the welcoming voices of several upperclassmen girls, signed up for the tea ceremony club at their small table and was told the location of their clubroom. With that, the girl's purpose for attending the briefing was perfectly fulfilled. Clutching the booklet she had received, she soon found herself at the school library. The library was vast, clearly exceeding the standards of a typical high school. Its overall layout resembled a coliseum, with bookshelves dividing it into sections, each furnished with long tables and chairs. Spreading open a single bellflower, a book she had just found, Hiyori Shiina turned to the first page and tentatively asked, "Mr. Ghost, did you like to read books before?" How should I put it? Symon considered it seriously before answering. Compared to reading, I prefer writing. Hiyori Shiina was surprised by such a response. Reading floods one's mind with countless chaotic thoughts, some good, some bad. Symon said calmly, "When you record them, you'll find that words themselves are the gentlest readers in this world. They don't get lost in the story and will always empathize with the writer. That's why I prefer writing over reading." "I see." Hiyori Shiina's eyes flickered, and she spoke softly with a hint of apology. "I'm sorry for constantly prying into your past." The girl understood well that, as someone who loved reading mystery novels, she was the type most likely to get lost in a story. "Symon, I don't mind something so trivial. As an apology, would you be willing to listen to me read Mr. Ghost? This book, A Single Bellflower, is my favorite work. Can I refuse?" "Nope." In the days that followed, the peaceful life Hiyori Shiina longed for arrived as expected. Since Ryuen had unearthed the behavioral standards exam, Class C was, at least on the surface, peaceful. Aside from Ryuen showing up to class every day with a bruised and swollen face, nothing much happened. The girl, on the other hand, spent her days rotating between the dormitory, the classroom, the clubroom, and the library, becoming familiar with her classmates and the upperclassmen in her club. And so, time gradually moved on to Sunday. That afternoon, Hiyori Shiina was at the library as usual, holding a book and reading it softly to Symon in her mind. While she was immersed in the story, someone suddenly sat down beside her. Hiyori looked up to see a girl with long pink hair and delicate features. Her purple eyes were even clearer than Hiyori's, and her smile was endearing. Even her figure was much better. "Hello, Shiina-san, I'm sorry to bother you. I'm Hanami Ichinose from Class 1B. The pink-haired girl began with a sincere smile. Symon immediately piped up, "Hiyori, I'll give you 1 minute. I want all of this woman's contact information. H stuff is forbidden." Silently rolling her eyes and rejecting someone's antics, Hiyori Shiina closed her book and said softly, "Is there something you need?" "Ichinose-san. I'm sorry to bother you, but I heard that you're the only one who can persuade Ryuen-kun." Ichinose clasped her hands together, explaining the situation in a pleading tone. "To sum it up, since yesterday, Ryuen-kun has been running rampant through the boys' dormitory with 2 other people. A lot of students from Class A and Class B have been complaining to me. I tried talking to Ryuen-kun myself, but he wouldn't listen to a word I said. I asked some friends in Class C, and someone mentioned you." Symon commented with a snark, "I take back what I said. This girl's social skills are terrifying. I can't handle her." It had only been a week since school started. Yet this girl named Hanami Ichinose had already expanded her social circle to the entire grade and even dared to confront Ryuen directly. Her social skills were simply off the charts. Hearing him say that, Hiyori Shiina fell silent for a moment. Looking at Ichinose's pleading expression, she thought for a bit before saying gently, "Ryuen-kun is very opinionated. Without knowing his objective, I don't have a good reason to persuade him to stop." The above was a lie. The girl knew perfectly well that Ryuen was targeting Class A and Class B, intending to use the rules of the behavioral standards exam to provoke them into making the first move. Even if it was a Pyrrhic victory hurting the enemy by 1,000, while losing 800, lowering the class points of those 2 classes would be a net gain. As for the reason, I know it. Ichinose's gaze was gentle. "I have friends in the 2nd and 3rd years, too. They all warned me about the behavioral standards exam. If you don't know about it, Shiina-san, I can tell you." "And no, that's okay." Hiyori Shiina used her book to hide her little face, which was blushing with shame from having her lie exposed. "I'm sorry, although I don't like what's happening either. What Ryuen-kun is doing does align with Class C's interests, so I can't stop him. I'm sorry for putting you in a difficult position." Ichinose stood up and bowed, her voice tinged with regret. "Can't everyone in this school just get along peacefully?" Hiyori Shiina shook her head, not in denial, but because she, too, felt lost. After Ichinose left, the girl repeated the question to herself in her mind. Symon thought for a moment before finally refuting it. Unfortunately, unless there's someone in this school who can free everyone from its control and is willing to act toward that goal. It's absolutely impossible. What about you, Mr. Ghost? Hiyori, thank you for thinking so highly of me, but unfortunately, I don't have any cheats. What's impossible is impossible. Chapter 7, Treating All Equally. Meanwhile, elsewhere. In the cafe, Kakeru Ryuen leaned back on the sofa with his legs crossed, listening to a report from Satoru Kanda. I attended the student council interviews this morning. Including myself, Katsuragi from Class A, and Ichinose from Class B, all three of us were rejected. Ryuen looked up and asked, the reason? Kanda pushed up his glasses. The student council president's response was, the student council does not welcome those who harbor naive ideas. I suspect there are things about this school we still don't know. Hassie. Ryuen sneered, the student council president, quite the high and mighty one, isn't he? Unlike Satoru Kanda, over the past 2 days, he had already gained a general understanding of the first-year classes by stirring up trouble. Class A, led by Arisu Sakiyanagi and Kohei Katsuragi, had already figured out the school's rules. The students were split into 2 factions under them. After he sent people to provoke them, he had brief contact with both leaders. Class B, led by Hanami Ichinose, had also figured out the school's rules. He had spoken with her as well, although her ideas were a bit naive. She was barely passable as a leader. He had also sent someone to try provoking Class D once, but his assessment was that they weren't worthy of a seat at the table yet. He wasn't surprised by Kanda's failure, but for Kohei Katsuragi and Hanami Ichinose, as central figures of the first year, there was no reason they should have been rejected, unless that student council president was an idiot. Ding dong. As he was thinking, the terminal by his hand suddenly lit up. Ryuen glanced at the message on the screen, stood up, and said, let's go. Come with me to the library. Are you going to see Shiina? With all due respect, I wouldn't advise you to disturb her. Kanda stood up and advised calmly. Looking at problems from a higher perspective than any of us is a unique talent of hers. It's in our best interest to keep her out of conflicts as much as possible and reduce the factors that could cause her to misjudge. Ryuen turned around, looking at Kanda with some surprise, and offered a rare explanation. But that Ichinose woman has already gone. I understand. 10 minutes later, as Hiyori Shiina, who was sitting at a long table in the library, raised her pretty face once again, she saw Ryuen and Satoru Kanda sitting down across from her. At the same time, at another long table not far away, a girl with glasses and a single ponytail also lowered her head. Hiyori Shiina tilted her head. I remember that girl. She's Rika Morifuji from our class. You haven't been bullying her, have you? Ryuen-kun. No, I'm just making the most of my resources. She's always studying alone anyway, so I might as well have her watch you in the library. Ryuen didn't deny having someone watch her and got straight to the point. What did Hanami Ichinose say to you? You didn't agree to anything. Did you? Hiyori Shiina shook her head. She wanted me to persuade you to stop doing things that disrupt the harmony. I refused. That's exactly the kind of thing that naive woman would do.